Yeah. See, I had to fade away. Had to fade away. Fade away. Yeah. Every day. For real. Ay. See, I had to fade away. And I'm praying for better days. I'd be damned if I let them come take away. Remember struggling, I was on layaway. And the hood was hard, Section 8. I'd be damned if they come and take my place. I was standing on that block every day. If you're not with the gang, stay away. See, I had to fade away. And I'm praying for better days. I'd be damned if I let them come take away. Remember struggling, I was on layaway. And the hood was hard, Section 8. I'd be damned if they come and take my place. I was standing on that block every day. If you're not with the gang, stay away. All this time made a nigga change. All that crime told a nigga pain. I got in that gym and they say a thing. I throw up the rocks, okay, paper plane. I step in my cross, we don't play the same. I step out my bus, get a nigga change. I caught you my bro and you traded lanes. I empty your fuck, turn up to a game. They were telling me switch up on in my position. Got telling you like, but wait, why won't you listen? I gave up my heart, but she blamed it on distance. I swear I tried everything, get me to fix it. I was grinding hard, I had bigger visions. I think about all of my brothers I'm missing. You know what I lose, look what I'm risking. So I can ask, look, gotta keep me your biscuit. See, I had to fade away. And I'm praying for better days. I'd be damned if I let them come take away. Remember struggling, I was on layaway. And the hood was hard, Section 8. I'd be damned if they come and take my place. I was standing on that block every day. If you're not with the gang, stay away. See, I had to fade away. And I'm praying for better days. I'd be damned if I let them come take away. Remember struggling, I was on layaway. And the hood was hard, Section 8. I'd be damned if they come and take my place. I was standing on that block every day. If you're not with the gang, stay away. I just wanna fade away. Remember them times we had layaway. I think the Lord that you made away. I thought this money take pain away. Remember them times I prayed rain away. So I cannot let you take away. I know ain't no kids I don't save the day. I still on this cause they paved the way. Ay. And I see my chance, I'ma take it. I know that I'm destined to make it. Heart full of hate, got me feeling like Satan. I'm confused, which way am I taking? Make the news, you playing, we baking. Oh, you cooks in the wood, what I'm tasting. I'm the goat, why the fuck I'm mistaken? See, I had to fade away. And I'm praying for better days. I'd be damned if I let them come take away. Remember struggling, I was on layaway. And the hood was hard, Section 8. I'd be damned if they come and take my place. I was standing on that block every day. If you're not with the gang, stay away. See, I had to fade away. And I'm praying for better days. I'd be damned if I let them come take away. Remember struggling, I was on layaway. And the hood was hard, Section 8. I'd be damned if they come and take my place. I was standing on that block every day. If you're not with the gang, stay away. You better stay away. Searching for better days. I'll be damned if they take me away. I'll be damned if they take me away. Okay. For real. Better day. Section 8. On God.
I was despised and rejected, spit on and disrespected, came to my own afflicted. Why didn't they listen to me? The greatest sacrifice no other man could ever give. I gave my life and soul, knowing it would make you live. Spirit was willing, with my flesh I had to overcome. I asked my Father, pass this cup, but I was the only one to do His will, fulfill the scriptures to perfection. Lay down my life in hope of reconciliation. Christ is on His way. Will you be waiting for me? Christ is on His way. Will I find faith in Thee? Christ is on His way. Come to the end of this confusion. Christ is on His way. She turned the righteous ruling. Christ is on His way. Will you be ready for me? Christ is on His way. Or will I find iniquity? Christ is on His way. I bear the sins of many. Christ is on His way. How could you do this to me? Of all the families on earth, you only have I known. My sheep was lost in this world. To you my love was shown. I came to give repentance, forgiveness of your sin, to be a prince and savior, but you won't let me in. Instead you delivered me unto the enemy with all your blasphemies. How could you do this to me? Stiff-necked and stuck in your ways, you broke the covenant. You only got a few days before I make my judgment. Oh, forgive them, for they know not what they do. What they do, what they do. I will plead with them face to face till I turn them back to you.
Yo, you thought I was coming back? Imagine now, watch the sky crack when I attack. I held back the winds from the four corners. Now you were gonna watch my battle wax get bloody. No one above me to please them, to choose me, to bruise me, but nothing could move me. You refused me like you never knew me. I didn't have to do it when I carried your iniquity, your wickedly witchery. And you don't remember me. The whole world watched on my name. They lied, denied that I died, so they pierced my side. Now I will return to burn, to unlearn, but the whole world heard. But for everything I do is for the Lord. If I breathe, I breathe for Christ. If I die, I die for Christ. No matter the price, understand it. I present my body as a living sacrifice.
That's right.
Repent, for the kingdom of the Lord is at hand. The coming of Yahweh is not. And he prophesied when he was going to be born and die. I hope these cats realize that there ain't much time. First and foremost is Satan holds post. Keep your guards up and close with the armor of the Most High. He's not a man that he should lie. I hate when we teach Jake and they walk on by.
Christ is on his way. Will you be ready for me? Christ is on his way. Will I find faith in thee? Christ is on his way. Coming to end all this confusion. Christ is on his way. Establish eternal righteous ruling. Christ is on his way. Will you be ready for me? Christ is on his way. Or will I find iniquity? Christ is on his way. I bear the sins of many. Christ is on his way. How could you do this to me? Christ is on his way. I'll hear the setting for me. Turn up the nations his way. Ain't gonna take this no more. Israel, you better is gonna come out and no sense confused. Turn up the nations his way. Ain't gonna take this no more. 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 Come take this confusion. Ain't gonna take this no more.
Superstar. Yeah. What's going on? What's going on, Village? What's the deal? Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you for being here tonight. Sunday night's a beautiful night over here. I hope it's beautiful wherever you guys are. I'm so thankful for you guys being here tonight. Thank you so much again. So you know how we do it here. We go through the intro first, you know. Here at Bolo TV, we believe in physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual health, wellness. We believe that all of these 4 parts of our one body, we believe that they should be at a perpetual balance as best as we can. We've been taught to ignore these bodies that we have, and we've been taught to just live through the physical. And in these last days, that we are living in, we cannot ignore the spiritual, mental, and the emotional anymore. We have to acknowledge that and try to get to a balanced, perpetual person if we can. That's what we need to do. We have to do this. Uh, we believe in holding up the mirror to ourselves first, because only if we heal ourselves can we heal each other. Only if we conquer the demon in the mirror can we help other people conquer theirs. So we have 4 hashtags here that we rock with. First hashtag is no more. No more meaning that we have to stop this nonsense. No more meaning that we don't let our weaknesses run us. We don't let our fears run us. We are here to take a stand and be the difference. So we say no more of the norm. Second hashtag we use is be the change. A lot of us know that we want things to change. A lot of us know that the way things are going here on this earth, in our communities, in our homes, in ourselves, it's not right. So instead of just letting yourself just be on autopilot, it's time that we say no more. It takes a village. None of us here is an island. We all need help. And one of the things that society has made us do is rely on only us. And we have to learn that we are symbiotic creatures. We are creatures that deal with sociality. We like dealing with other people. We need to function with each other. And also Christ told you, forsake ye not the assembly of one another, right? In these last days, especially in these last days. So we have to help each other and be there for one another. So it takes a village. So where I lack, you may have an abundance, and vice versa. And the last, which I believe is self-explanatory, is visitation rights are not for fathers. They are for inmates. So to those parents out there, those mothers that are having issues with their father, with their children's father, please allow the children to see their father. Allow the father to be a part of their life, and vice versa to those fathers that are having issues with the mother of their children. Please, or child, please allow them to be a part, because this is a two-way street. We have to live and love each other. So that being said, and getting that out of the way, today's topic is definitely one that touches home. It's definitely one that needed to be done, and that we have to learn how to forgive. We have to learn to forgive. Now, let me get this set up. Hold on, guys. Okay, I keep bringing up the wrong one. We're going to do this one more time. Hold on. Okay. Okay, here we go. So it's about forgiveness. And I was talking to someone about it, and she inspired this topic, because I really think that we need to deal with this. But before I do that, let me give some shout outs to people in the village.
AGAG, what's going on, brother or sister? I think brother. Forgive me. Winnie Pooh, hey. Digital Dads, Natalie V, Tia, Sha, Drizzle Game, Aura Saint, Natalie V, Summer Breeze, Byron. He writes, Bolo, help me to understand why are these things happening right now in the world. It is hard to keep the faith during these times like this. Wow. Okay. I'll definitely answer your question if I finish a shout out. Summer Breeze, Beverly. That's the grandmother of the village. The mother of the village, Beverly. Zach, what's going on, man? Burr Weezy, Natalie V, everyone else. Village, shout out. What's going on? Byron Dixon. What's going on? So I'll try to answer that as quickly as possible. The scriptures tell you that when the world travaileth as a woman giving birth, that you will know that Christ is closer or nearer than you think. Right? So what does that mean? When a woman travaileth in birth, meaning, she has contractions before she actually gives birth to the baby. So we're going to have that on this earth. The contractions meaning the evil that's being done, the plagues that are on this earth, the laws, the atrocities, the things that are going to give a stamp to let us know that, listen, Christ is on his way, like the song says. Okay? Christ is on his way. So to answer you a little bit more direct, Byron, these things are signs, right, for us to work on our faith, to get it together. It's the same way like if you're in school and you have a test at the end of the month. The teacher's job is to try her best to get you prepared for that test on the last Friday of the month. So throughout the week, she's going to give you hints and she's going to give you reminders to say, listen, at the end of the month is the test. At the end of the month is the test. And she's going to do her best to get you ready. Now, the only difference in that example that I gave is we don't know when Christ is coming. But Christ does give us these signs to say, I'm closer than you think, guys. Hold on. Hold on. Be strong. Have faith. This can't be the way it's supposed to be. It's not meant to be this way. So when you read your scriptures, Byron, the Lord talks about paradise in the place to come. So we have to have faith to know that this is not the way life is supposed to be. This is not the way it's supposed to be as far as us living with our children, with our wives, you know what I'm saying, with your husbands. It's not supposed to be this way. So this is why we have to have faith. This is why we need the village. Because when you're in this time of crisis and your faith is getting lacking, because it is, nothing is done by mistake. Everything is done by design, Byron. So when these things happen and they give you that social distance and they keep you away, again, like I said, we're social creatures. We're supposed to be around each other, to give each other that help, to give each other that love, to give each other that boost when we're weak. In this time right now, we're not getting that. In this time right now, we can't mourn. If God forbid you've lost somebody in this time, it is hard. The proper way to grieve, a lot of us need to be held. A lot of us need to hold people and just lean on that shoulder and say, you're going to be all right. We need that transaction. We need to vibrate on that frequency of healing. And during this time, that separation, it's hurting us more than it is healing us. So I hope that gave you an answer. He writes, Byron Dixon writes, Bola, one of my main concern is the meat shortages. Oh, wow. Byron, why don't you hit the link, man? Hit the link so we can have a conversation. Hit the link. You know, you don't have to show your face. Just hit the link so that we can have a talk. Right? Because I'm sure that your question is a little bit deeper than that. You know? So you're saying that one of your main concerns is the meat shortage. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of shortages, man. Not just the meat. Not just the meat. You know, the world wanted this social distancing to be done. So certain states opened up a little bit. And from what I'm hearing, by them opening up, people are getting infected. You know, that people are getting infected at this point. So we have to understand that we're in the last days, man. And the meat shortage is just the beginning, brother. It is going to progressively get worse. So this is where you have to have your faith and be covered in the blood of Christ and understand that he will protect his children. As long as you operate in truth with the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the Father. And to do that, we have to know our 4 parts: the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, and the physical, and understand how these 4 bodies operate. And understand that we are walking around broken. We are broken. We were born broken. We were born with the lack of knowledge, of understanding of the Most High, and knowing about how our bodies, and when I say bodies, mean our 4 parts that make up that one body that we're in, operate. So what I'm trying to do is trying to disseminate this information to give to you guys so that you can self-heal that person in the mirror over, a lot of people say understand, but a lot of, other people like to say overstand. To overstand what your circumstance is, to know that it is okay as a man to hurt, to cry, to feel, to overstand as a woman that you didn't have a father, but we're going to work you through that. You don't have to continue being broken because we need to break the cycle. #no more. Tia says, I'm in Northwest Indiana and the steel mills are laying off like crazy. No one is buying steel right now, I guess. There's no one really making money. A lot of these mom and pop stores or shops are closing or closed. That stimulus was what, $1,200 for the month? $1,200 can't really help anybody. It really does not help anybody. What you should do is stop making people pay mortgages for 3 or 4 months. Add that mortgage to the end. Because that $1,200 is either going to pay your rent or pay for food. That's what it's going to do. It isn't going to do anything. Right? AG writes, you would think with the pandemic, the U.S. would shift to start manufacturing things we need now and going forward, Tia. America has always been a company that spends and buys. They bring everything in. Hardly make anything here. We used to make a lot of stuff. But now they've learned that, if you ship it overseas, it's cheaper to ship it overseas. It's cheaper if you ship it to Indonesia or Bangladesh. But before we start doing that, let me just put this on the screen, guys. Let me put this on the screen. I apologize. I need to get this on the screen because Satan, being who he is, tries to flag. So that being said, let me put this up and then I will actually read it. So what this says is, this is a copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. So now it's getting that out the way. I'm sorry about that. I had to get that out the way, guys. So now that we got that out the way, we can go back to what we were talking about. So again, I hope that Byron would have hit that link, but it's all good. You don't have to hit the link. I hope I answered your question. So let's get this done. So if you look at the bottom of the description, or at the description, it says the power of forgiveness. Forgiving is giving up the hope for a better past. Now, can anybody in the chat explain to me or explain to the village what they think that might mean? Forgiving is giving up the hope for a better past. What do you guys think that means? Talk to me, guys. What do you think that means? Forgiving is giving up the hope for a better past. Natalie V says, moving on. In layman's terms, yeah. Yeah. Accepting the reality, AG says. Yes, sir. Winnie Pooh says, don't expect to be forgiven. No, that doesn't mean that, baby. No. Forgiving is giving up the hope for a better past. Think about that. Celie writes, the past is done. A present and not hoping to change the past. G writes, okay. Beverly writes, you got to hide so you can move on. I think that's what you wrote. Write that over, Beverly. Zach writes, that means that you let bygones be bygones and living towards a better present and future. Yes, sir. Well, welcome, Arkan. Well, Arkan fan 300. Stop dwelling on the past, which can't be changed, and move on to a better future. All of these things that you guys said is not wrong. It is right. But forgiving it encompasses a lot. And we're going to try our best to try and catch as many points as we can, because there's a lot of moving parts to this. But forgiving is acceptance, acknowledgement, right? When you forgive someone, you don't necessarily have to talk to that person about forgiving. Forgiving is letting go. Forgiving is understanding. Forgiving is learning. And when you forgive someone, it's more for you than it is for that person that you're forgiving. If you forget the past, you're bound to repeat it. Exactly. So forgiving isn't necessarily forgetting. It isn't necessarily forgetting. It's not about forgetting. Forgiving is just letting that hurt that you feel, that damage that time did to you, letting it go, no longer holding on to it. Learn from it, grow from it. Yes, Winnie Pooh, letting go. So you have three portions to forgiving, right? The components of forgiving. You have acknowledgement. You have to acknowledge that this happened. Can't ignore it. You have to acknowledge that you're hurting. Can't ignore it. You have to acknowledge that what that person did, or whatever happened in that situation, whatever happened in your experience, you have to acknowledge it. See, the way society has is, they tell us to forget. They tell us just move on. don't deal with it. That's why I believe when you said moving on, I said that, no, Natalie, it's not about just moving on, because you can leave that door open, that chapter open, and don't get it twisted. It will come back to bite you on your ass. Ebony writes, forgiving is the easiest part for me. My issue is the expectation that the person will do the same thing again. We're going to get to that, because let me give you an example, right? Because we're still on acknowledgement. If I have a best friend and my friend does something to hurt me, okay? Now, the only way that friend will ever be able to hurt me again is if I continue to be that person's friend. Because if I just say, you know what, it's all good, don't even worry about it. That $35 I lent you, you ain't even got to give it back. I'm good. I don't need an apology. I don't need none of that stuff. I don't. Because I've acknowledged that, listen, it's a loss. I'm going to learn from it. I forgive you. I'm not going to hold it over you. I'm not going to see you every time I see you say, damn, man, where that $35, or hold it and gnash my teeth. Nah, it's all good. Okay. And you move on. But a lot of the times when you have friends, see, the only way you can allow someone to hurt you is if they are a friend. Because remember, you're still opening up that door to be hurt. So you have to take the precautions. You have to take the precautions and gird up your loins, put that garrison up, put that fence up so that you're never hurt again like that. That is for you to do. Not for them, for you. So this is what we're trying to learn. How do we gird up our loins? Because we've been brought up to be robots. We've all seen The Matrix, or most of us, hopefully everyone in the village has seen it. We've all been brought up not to question, not to react, not to overthink our situation. We've all been taught to be emotional. Remember the stream that I did with welfare? This is how they did it. They infiltrated the home with welfare, because as soon as you took the man out of the home, in most situations, what are women? They're the emotional side of a man. The man, in most situations, is the logistical portion. We're the one that brings the order. So when you take that out of the home, that order, when you take that out of the home, the logic, when you take that out of the home, the firewall, you have pandemonium at this point. You have no control. All you have is emotions, an abundance of emotion. So, getting back to forgiving, acknowledgement. You have to acknowledge that you've been hurt. You have to acknowledge that you're hurting, because a lot of us don't like to acknowledge that. And we go through years ignoring that. Okay? So we have to acknowledge that we've been hurt and that we will no longer be hurt. That's what we need to understand. And how do you no longer get hurt? By acknowledgement. Okay? Second step is acceptance. Accepting that we can't change the past. Accepting that the past is the past. And by you accepting it, it will allow you to move on. Celie writes, that's when the wall comes up. Not necessarily. I don't have to have walls come up to know that I'm learning from the past. You know, I'll give you another example, right? A lot of you men, because I gave an example of women. A lot of you men, or a lot of us men, we deal with women that we know are no good. Okay, we've seen we have someone in the chat. Let me finish this and then I'll bring you on. We've seen that the red flags for this woman. Not all women, But we've seen the red flags. We've seen it. But we continue going down this road. So not only do you have acknowledgement proves that, listen, you were the one that knew that this person wasn't good for you. You knew it, but you wanted to change him. You wanted to keep him because the sex game was good, because they had money. Remember, we're symbiotic creatures, social creatures, and it's way deeper than just sex. It's way deeper than a physical thing. This is why a lot of people get divorces, or a lot of people don't deal with each other. You have a lot of single mothers. You have a lot of men that just leave because they thought it was about sex. It's not. It's not. So you have to accept. And then from acceptance, you have apply. You apply what you've learned from your past. You apply it to your future and you move on. I always say this. Life is meant to be lived forward, but understood backward. So it's not until you go through something can you understand what you've gone through. Right? So K Plum writes, you are so right, Bolo. You can only change you. There you go. And then once you change you, you can help others around you. I'm going to bring Black Zach up, see what he has to talk about, or she. You live, you on, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, bro.
All right, so I was listening to what you were saying, and one thing that I do want to bring up. I'm 27. I live in Metro Detroit, Michigan, and one problem that I feel that us Black people, the majority of Black people that's dealing with forgiveness, is we haven't forgiven from the past. I mean, I understand we were all in slavery and stuff, but it's like we hold such a tight grudge towards, the white man. And I feel that, in order for us to heal, we have to forgive them. I mean, we always go back to they had us in chains and stuff. But I mean, how can you hold the descendants of like great, that was like their great grandparents that did that. So how can you hold them accountable for that? And I feel if we were to forgive, like, slavery happened. I mean, slavery happened all around the world. I mean, every continent there was a form of slavery. I mean, it's still slavery going on. So I feel that if we were to forgive them for that and say, the Middle Passage was a bad time in history, where a lot of, African people and African American people lost their lives and stuff. But if we were to forgive them, I mean, I feel as a people we could move forward. I mean, I think that's the one of the biggest problems within the Black community and Black people is, we start the race with already a burden on our heart from our past. So it causes us to have low self-esteem and go into job interviews with your head down saying, well, I am Black. I might not get that job because I am Black. You know what I mean? It's like we already we go into a lot of situations already, with just negative feelings and negative thoughts. And I feel if we were to forgive people, not only white people, but just all things, from history to present day, if we were to forgive, we could get over a lot of things. I mean, it happens with, relationships as far as baby mama, baby daddy, the they could have broken up, and the mother might have a grudge to that man for leaving her, and now it's a situation where he can't see his children, or she might mistreat the children. So I just feel like us as a black people, we need to practice forgiving. I mean, even for the simplest thing. I mean, if you're in line at the grocery store and somebody cuts in front of you, don't blurt out and start a fight. Forgive them. I mean, understand that person might have something that's deep rooted in their hearts that they can't control.
Well, let me say this to that. Everything that you said, I agree with. We have to learn from our past and forgive, because there's nothing we can do about the past. It's already done. It's history, right?
Right.
So we can only learn from it and move on. Here's where the issue comes in. The issue comes in that we have to learn to forgive ourselves before we can forgive someone else.
True.
And that's where the problem is. That's where the problem lies. The problem lies is we're all walking around broken, right? Looking to blame somebody.
Yep.
So if we have not forgiven ourselves for the mistakes that we've made in our past, how do we forgive someone else if we can't forgive ourselves? And it is so much easier to blame someone else for the issues that we are living, for the issues that we're in, for the circumstances that we are in.
True.
Once you have acknowledgement of who you are, see, what makes us different than any other creature on this earth is self-awareness. You understand? That's what makes us different. We are the only creatures that understand where we are and who we are and what position we play in this universe. No other creature has that type of understanding. We're the only creature that can understand what's going on outside of whom we are. No other creature has that possibility. They don't have that understanding. So to gain that clarity, to gain that understanding, this is where you have to tap into the mental. We're all walking around emotional. Emotional, it doesn't think. Emotional doesn't know how to delineate a circumstance. Emotional only knows how to react. It does not know how to respond. The mental knows how to respond. So when you process this through the spirit, because the spirit is the overall, right? When you process it through your mental, you add the emotion to the choice that you made in the mental, and then through the emotion, you cause it to come into reality through the physical. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. Let me add one thing to that. That's all right. Like I said, I'm 27. Dude, I literally don't have any friends. I mean, 3 years ago, I had a whole bunch of homeboys and you know, buddies and drinking partners or whatnot or whatever. But you know, now I can't name 5 people that's around my age that I deal with. I mean, as far as a young black male, and my my main thing was they're all too emotional. I mean, a young black man my age, he's too emotional. He doesn't use cognitive thinking to make his decision.
Let me ask you a
I mean,
question. Those homeboys that you had, how many of them out of that 4 were raised by a single woman?
all of them, and I know that. I know.
There's your answer. Your answer
You
is
live what you learn.
there you go. And not only that, this is what you're exposed to. You're only exposed to the emotional portion, which is your woman, which is the woman. So a lot of us men are walking around with the tendencies and the vibration of women.
Hey, I've said that 1,000 times. 1,000 times. I always use an analogy. If you got a young boy and he's raised up in a house where he has sisters or even a brother, and it's his mom, his grandma, his aunties, and that's all he's around his whole childhood. He has no option but to start acting like a woman. And I feel that's one of the biggest problems with young black men is that we're being raised by single women, and I mean we don't have any manliness about us. I mean if somebody
it goes deeper than that. It's not about just being manly, because like you said, if you're raised around women, you take on women tendencies. But this is the problem that we have. The problem that we have is when you're raised by women, right? And there are exceptions to the rule. There are men that the Lord has blessed to just still have manly tendencies. But those men that are raised by women, unfortunately, we don't know how to say no more. See, a woman is emotional, right? Most of them.
Yes.
And they will take the beat down that their man will give. Women, for some reason, they are so stronger at taking more nonsense than men are. Men, apparently, we're very our patience is short. It is, unless it's taught to you. Our patience is short. And women can take a whole lot of stuff. This is why you have these men that just don't know how to say no. We're not doing this no more. They don't know how to say stop. They don't know how to articulate how they feel. Because one, not only are they being raised by women and they're taking in the femininity of women and the tendencies of women, they're not learning the subtleties of men. They don't have that. This is why you have a lot of these guys will sit there and love their mother no matter what their mother have done to them. No matter what their mother has done to them, they'll say, you know, on my mama. I've never heard no one say on my papa. I've never heard no one say that. I've never heard that.
When we're in school, all the jokes is your mama jokes. I mean, you tell your daddy joke in school, it wouldn't even be
nobody laughs. Nobody laughs.
But you talk about somebody mama, you better put your fist up because somebody about to fight.
Why? Because they're taught that emotional side. You see, with men, although we get emotional, we have acknowledgement and understanding. We have acceptance, right? I know that my son liked to talk a lot in school because I like to talk a lot in school. So when I would go to school and he would be in trouble because he talked too much, I can acknowledge that. So when the teacher said something, and so, you know, your child is talking too much, he's disrupting the class, I could acknowledge that. Now I use that as a light example. Let me get heavier. You can have the biggest drug dealer on the earth. He's murdered 8 million people.
Yeah.
Hitler's mother would have said, that's still my baby boy. I love him. You see me? I'd say that's a little devil. That's what I would say. Yeah, that's my son, but he needs to die. You look at Omen, the Omen. You know what I'm saying? The father was ready to put a blade in that kid, and he was adopted. The mother loved him through thick and thin. And you find movies like that where the mother, and this is not all women, but most, you'll find that the woman will accept the child no matter what he does because they're emotional. That's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
For the child, right? Because when we come to the child and we discipline the child, the woman comes behind us and smooths the child out to say, this is what it was. This is the understanding of why your father did this. So when they get both ends of it, that completes the cycle. But when you take the man out of it, this is where the problem starts. You know what I'm saying? So, is there anything else you want to say, my brother?
No, that's about it. I just wanted to comment on that. Just to add on one thing that I really don't understand is you, as far as you were talking about the mother and the son's relationship. It really makes me scratch my head when I'm on maybe Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and a girl is on there calling her son her king. You know what I mean? My young king and stuff like this. And because my philosophy is you have to be a prince before you're a king. Agreed. And I feel that I feel that they put too much pressure on the men. You know what I mean? On the young boys to grow up too fast. I mean, it's 14, 15-year-olds out here selling crack, selling whatever they're selling, and they're doing it to help support the household. A young boy that's 12, 13, 14 shouldn't have to go grind and do illegal things to help support his mother's household. You know what I mean? And that's where the breakdown starts.
But let me throw this on top of that. When a woman calls her son a young king, first of all, let's understand something. Let's put things into in proper perspective. Queens only become queens when they marry a king. There is no such thing. There is no such thing called a queendom. They're called kingdoms. Period. So without a king, you don't have a kingdom. That's number one. Number two, everything that you said, I totally agree with. But it goes deeper than that. When that woman calls that young child a king, there's an unseen bond, an unseen alliance that's made between the two. This is why they can never break. This is why no matter what the mother does, she can be a dirt bag. He will always look at her as his queen because it's drilled into his head. So no matter what wrong she does, and remember, that's taught to him. What's taught to this child is not understanding, not law and order, not cause.
Mama can't do no wrong.
This is what's taught to them. So we need to understand that we need to have both ends of it, right? So when you're telling a child at 14, 5, 6, you're the man in the house, there's a vibe, there's a vibration that you're putting them in. When you're telling them that you're the king, you're supposed to take care of the home, automatically when you say that, you're putting that child in a mind frame that I'm not supposed to hurt, I'm not supposed to be weak, I'm not supposed to cry, I'm not supposed to bleed. I'm supposed to run through that metal door and continue moving even though my jaw's broke.
Right.
And on top of that, being raised by a woman, you're not going to say it. You're not going to talk about it. You're going to accept it. You're going to do it. Usually men that are raised with men, or usually children that are raised with men, they're most of the time giving balance. Now, I'm not talking about those men out there that are dirt bags that are in the home. That is not what I'm talking about. We're talking about a woman picking the right man. First off, her knowing what the right man is. A woman knowing what her value is, knowing what her worth is, so that she can demand her value. And I always say that if you don't know if you don't know the value of a diamond, if you don't know the value of it, then you're not going to know. If you don't know, you're not going to demand. You're not going to know what the worth of it is, right? If you don't know what the worth or the value of it, I might be saying it backwards. If you don't know the value, then you can't demand the worth. There you go.
Yeah.
If I don't know the value of this diamond, I cannot demand the worth of what is owed to me by this diamond. So if this woman, yes, sir.
Look, and that's why the cycle keeps going on. That's why you got all these young females that keeps procreating. You know what I mean? Having children with just any old Joe Blow or whatever, because they never had a father around. They never had that guideline of what a man's supposed to do, how a man's supposed to make you feel, how a man is supposed to take care of you and love you and treat you. So any Joe Blow that's riding down the street with some Jordans on and 24-inch rims on his car, that's what they're going to think.
But let me throw this at you too. Let me throw this at you too, Black. Let me throw this at you too, Black. But it's also the man's fault too.
Yes. Because
if you knew what type of woman you were dealing with, you wouldn't procreate with her. You would make sure you'd strap up. Now, I don't say for you to have sex, but if you're going to do it, you know that this woman that you're dealing with, or you know that this man that you're dealing with is only good for sex. So strap up and protect yourself. But see what society does. Again, remember the stream that I did with welfare. When welfare was introduced into the homes, that was the way they destroyed the homes, because you systematically got the man out.
He can't be in the house.
Exactly. So now if I get you pregnant and I don't want the baby, and you know that I don't have the money to take care of the baby, she keeps the baby because she gets an incentive to keep him.
Call my white daddy. All I gotta do is get my pen and sign the paperwork, and my white daddy gonna take care of the rest. Put the black man in debt, and you know what I mean. And
what I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is this. This is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, we understand that femininity, there is an attack on masculinity. We understand that.
Yes.
But what I am saying is this too. We help it. It's the same way how my man Tommy gives this example, right? And I totally agree with him on it. Where we know that the police don't like black people, right? This is what we're taught, that the police don't like black people. That's what we're taught.
That's false, man.
I agree with you, right? But this is what we're taught in the hood. This is what we're taught in our communities. So If you're taught that the police don't like black people, why do you put yourself in a position to get stopped, to get checked, or to get searched by the police? This is the point. If I know that that person doesn't like me, but that person has authority over me, I'm not going to put myself in a situation where they can be authoritative over myself, over my person.
Exactly. Hey,
So,
I mean, right on, man.
So we have to learn that you want the police to respect you. You want the police to value your life. But first, you have to value your life. If we don't stop killing each other, why should they stop killing us? That's the problem. Black Lives Matter comes out anytime a white police officer shoot a black child or or a Hispanic child. They're out in force, which is a good thing. But where are they when black people kill black people? When Hispanic people kill Hispanic people? Where are they? They're nowhere to be seen. Found. So we have to learn to love each other and learn to value our lives, learn to forgive each other, learn to love each other, learn to respect each other, learn to understand each other before anybody else is going to love us. Before anybody else is going to understand us, we got to understand each other. Before I pay your phone bill, Black, I got to make sure my phone bill is paid. So this is why I always say, why do black people, majority, attack this man when this man is holding a mirror up to what we do? Why is it that they're calling him all sorts of names? Names that people would be killed for. Names that if anybody else would call this, if a woman would be called a pedophile, a sexual deviant, and she took her life, there would be a problem. But so cavalierly, they throw these names at him. Now, if you got proof, show and prove. But this is the problem. We're so quick to fight each other. We're so quick to shoot each other. We're so quick to hate each other. But we want the whole world to love us.
It's not going to happen.
Not until we change it. Not until we change it.
No.
You don't want the white man using the N-word, but we use it. My man, thank you so much, man, for coming up. I thank you for showing up, man. Thank you, Black.
Hey, most definitely, man. I'm gonna be talking to you real soon.
No doubt, brother. You got my email. It's in the description.
Right, thank you.
All right, brother.
All right, bye.
All right. So I'm gonna read a couple of texts. Well, not texts, but a couple of people typed in the chat that I didn't get to read because I was talking to my man Black, and that was a very good conversation. Thank you, Black. Ebony writes, let me start with K Plum. There needs to be a balance. I agree, Ebony. Tia writes, exactly. K Plum writes, this is so true, Bolo. Shao writes, yeah, that drives me crazy. Ebony comes back and says, sometimes their mother is their demon. Yeah. Drizzle writes, me and my mom has very little interaction or connection. Shao writes, Drizzle, I'm sorry. We all need balance. We need the mother and father. God bless you, my brother. Winnie Pooh comes and say, they treat their sons like their husbands. That's a very good point. Very good point. Or yeah, they do. And then when their sons get older and take that position in that authoritative position, they say, you're not my man. But you've given him that liberty. You've called him that. You've treated him this way. You've bred him this way for years. Now you want him to stop. Ebony Wright, take care of your mother is the worst statement that you can say to a child. Seeley writes, right, queendom is made up. Digital Dad, right? Facts, 100. Shaw writes, Winnie, I hate when this thing jumps. Ebony says, an acceptable. Tia says, I understand that. You're the man of the house. So much pressure is out on that child. Hell yeah. Summer Breeze, right? I was raised to be a mother before having my first child. Exactly. And you know, a lot of these women are women that happens to be mothers. Meditate on that. Just like a lot of these men just happen to be fathers. They're not real dads. They're not real fathers. Same with they're not real mothers. Beverly writes, amen, Bowler. My father chose my late husband, my mother, or my father, I think she meant to say my mother, chose my late husband from his friend's family. Well, my father chose my late husband from his family. AG, it works both ways. Hell yeah, AG, it does. Byron writes, facts, facts. Drizzle writes, I've been saying that, Bolo. Black Lives Matter is the biggest waste of time. It only matters if a white man take one. I agree. Anthony, what's up, my brother? What's going on? Darkness hate light. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And that says a whole lot just in those few words. In those 3 words. Byron writes, it's me, Sha. Byron Dixon, laugh out loud. But hey again. Summer Breeze, the drizzle. The drizzle green. My mom and stepdad worked so hard, or worked so I had to take care of my sister after school, cook and clean and do homework. Yeah, that's just what's crazy, man. Tia writes, exactly. Byron wrote, laugh out loud. I like you, Sha. I'm laughing over here. Thank you, because I need that. Beverly writes, I am with you, Drizzle. Black lives don't matter. Winnie Pooh. All right, so it looks like we're caught up. Celie writes, my own sister made her eldest son the man of her house. We shouldn't make them the man of the house. If you need them to step up and take a little bit more responsibility because the man of the house is gone or he wasn't anything, then that's different than them stepping up and taking a little bit more responsibility. We need to understand that words carry vibration. Words are spirits, right? So we need to understand that if words can make alive, words can also kill. Words can build, words can destroy. So we need to take that into consideration. All right. So let's go on. So forgiveness. So once we're past acknowledgement, we're on to acceptance. Okay. Now we're on to apply. So whatever we learn from what we've been through, we apply it to our life so we don't go through it again. So those are the 3 steps that we need to go through. So we're going to look at my man, Dolph Lundgren. This dude was, if no one knows who he was Drago in Rocky. Okay, so let's listen to what he has to say and listen to him explain what he went through and how he overcame it. Chris G, what up, baby?
I'd like to tell you a story. It's about a little boy who grew up in Sweden in the 60s and 70s. His dad was this tall, good-looking army officer. His mom was this pretty but shy linguist. He had a brother and 2 sisters, and they lived in a suburb of Stockholm. And that little boy was me. I think I remember the first time my dad hit me. I was around 3 or 4, I think, and I was walking in front of the TV and he kicked me and I flew into some bookshelves. And I remember there was blood and my mom was screaming. You see, my dad had a lot of problems and he took it out on me and my mom, never touched my brothers or sisters. And this started when I was about 3 or 4 and went on until I was about 11 or 12. It was a really hard part of my life because I had to go to school with a black eye, or, some of my hair was missing when he'd been yanking my head. I think some of you may know what I'm talking about. I understand how you're feeling. You see, when you get abused at home, you have 2 choices. It's like an animal, fight or flight. You can either run away, which was impossible for me because I was a little kid living at home, or you can fight back, which I couldn't do because, I was just a little kid. My dad was my size. But I've learned later there's a third choice. You freeze. It's like a gazelle being taken by a lion. You just freeze and go dead. All your emotions are bottled up inside. I would just lay there when he was hitting me. I wouldn't even cry.
And you need to listen to the certain words. There's certain key words that we need to understand. You freeze and you bottle these emotions inside. This is what a lot of us do that are mentally depressed, that carry PTSD, that suffer from depression. We keep these feelings bottled inside. Some of us sometimes can't take it no more and decide to take their lives. Some of us lash out. We have to learn to let these feelings go. Whether it's seeking help through therapy, talking to family, coming to Bolo TV. We have to learn this. We have to break the cycle. We have to learn to forgive and move on. Not forget, but don't repeat.
And by the time I was 11 or 12, I was smoking, I was drinking, I was running away from home on stolen motorcycles, sleeping over in somebody's garage. But my dad always found me back home for another beating. So my grades at school were terrible. And my dad said, I got to do something. I got to get rid of this kid somehow and get him out of here. So he decided to send me up north to his parents, my grandparents. And they lived in a small town in northern part of Sweden. Now, Sweden is a country pretty far north. I mean, Stockholm in the winter gets dark at 2:30 p.m. Stockholm was like Miami Beach compared to the place I was being sent. But my grandparents were quite nice to me, and they took care of me, and my grades got better. I discovered ice hockey and then weight training and karate, and I started to heal. And by the time I was about 17 or 18, I remember something my dad had told me. Because, my dad was actually a pretty smart guy. He was very charming. He was a nice guy. Most of the time, when he wasn't going nuts. And he told me, listen, kid, this socialistic country, forget it. You can't do anything here. If you want to be somebody, you got to go to America. And I always remember that. So I kind of got all the scholarships I could because I didn't have any money. I got a scholarship to WSU, Washington State University. Another one to Clemson. Finally, I got a Fulbright scholarship to MIT, which is the reason I'm standing here. And there was just one little snag. Because my 4th year, it's my last year as a master's, I was in Sydney at the University of Sydney and studying engineering on a scholarship. And I was working extra as a bouncer because, that trauma is really helpful when you get in the ring with somebody. So I became a pretty good fighter. I was a karate champion, and I had what you call the killer instinct. So me and my buddy, who was my sparring partner, we got hired to do some special work at a rock concert, different artists. And one of them was this beautiful black singer, statuesque lady named Grace Jones. And we worked there, and then afterwards, she hired some of us to do special security at her party when she was going to go out and hang out at the nightclubs in Sydney. I didn't really realize right away why she picked this tall, blonde, buffed guy to be her special security. But, I found out later that evening. I ended up in her hotel room, missed a few classes the next day, college, and and she was a world-class artist, totally out of my league.
I'm gonna skip a little bit to get to the point.
Glasses or something, but anyway, the behavior. You're trying to, and the film was shot and opened 30 years ago, Memorial Day. And I came out of the theater with Grace, and people were taking pictures of me. I'm like, what happened? Oh, I guess I'm a movie star. Okay, great. But the problem was this. My troubles had only started. Because what happened was that frozen part of me, remember that I told you, started coming out and kind of running my life. Because what happens is when you have...
This is the thing that the enemy, Satan, does. Okay? When you have these issues and they seem not to bother you 15, 20 years later, they're just dormant. They're not gone. You haven't closed that chapter. This is why the Lord tells you, let not the sun rest on your anger. Because when you have issues and you have problems, your job is to go hash that issue or problem out with the person that you have the problem with. Because it turns into something different if you let it fester. Turns into something different. Other things are added to it. So don't think, to all you people out there, that just because you think or you thought that you dealt with the situation, that it hasn't happened in such a long time. It's just a Pandora's box waiting to be opened. Listen to what he's saying.
This trauma, it's like a soldier with post-traumatic stress. You end up acting on something called escape behavior. You're trying to escape from something that you can't escape from because it's inside of you. Drinking, sexual affairs, overeating, violence, you name it.
Let me say this too. I'm sure that you guys have heard of the butterfly effect. And what that is the butterfly effect. What that means is a butterfly is so small that because of its wings, something so small can cause such a big disturbance further on down the line. That's the butterfly effect. Something small can cause such a big disturbance on down the line. So don't think just because it was something small or something that you thought was inconsequential or whatever, it can cause a ripple effect. So we need to start dealing with our issues. We have to start dealing with our issues, leaving no chapter unclosed. Now, they may not be closed the way you want it. They may not be closed happily. And they need to be closed. Okay?
I did a lot of bad things to myself. And 25 years later, 40 movies later, yeah, I was a movie star, but I was miserable most of the time. I had a failed marriage, 2 daughters who I loved, but they didn't even know me. My career was kind of rock bottom. This is only 5 years ago.
Now remember, all of that and what caused this issue was that moment when he was a child. He didn't deal with it. He moved on in life. But because of what that freezing moment did, and he bottled all those things up, butterfly effect, it began to multiply and become bigger. Now you're not only dealing with this one issue, you're dealing with 50 because you didn't deal with it.
And I didn't know how to get out of it. 2 things happened. I got a call from my old buddy, Sly Stallone. Hey, Dolph, how you doing? I got the script. So check it out. See what you think. Well, the script was called The Expendables. It was a big hit. I was back on the big screen after 15 years. The other thing is I met this girl, fell in love with her, and I knew I was going to embark on the same stupid path I'd been down before. Actually, something happened. Some girl was flirting with me. I gave her my number. The usual, the text, the pictures. She saw it. A few of you may have been there. She went nuts. We were about to break up. And I said, I can't do this. I got to change my life somehow. She'd told me before, why don't you try therapy? Like, forget about it. It's for sissies. What about meditation? Do I look like an Indian guru? I don't think so. So, to make a long story short, I took up therapy 3 years ago, meditation, and it totally changed my life. Suddenly, this fog that I was living in lifted. I did the therapy where you go back in time, you relive your experiences, you cry, scream, you roll up in a little ball.
He relived his experiences. He went back there to go close those chapters. You can't run away from you. The one person you cannot run away from is you. You cause the problem. And what do I mean by that, Bolo? By continuing to live with it, by continuing to let it fester, by not dealing with it. It drips into other facets of your life, whether you believe it or not. You can say I'm wrong. What I am telling you is the game don't change, just the players. This is depression. This is how it works. Depression starts, it's like a leak in a house. It starts one place and it ends up someplace totally different. All of us who suffer from depression understand this. We're just afraid to go back and have to deal with the nonsense because it takes a lot of strength to go back there. It does. But we have to do it because no one else can.
You hit the couch with a baseball bat, anything you got to do to start to try to attack this part of you, this frozen part of me that was running my life, and slowly started to become smaller and smaller, and I can sort of see my life come back to me. And the meditation helped as well. So the first thing I did, I went back to see my kids, and I asked them for forgiveness, what I had done, because I told them what happened with my dad, and I was a guy I didn't like what I had done, and they started crying right away. And I realized they had a lot of pain, and I cried with them. Did the same with my ex-wife and a few other people I'd hurt. And as a matter of fact, also in my head forgave my dad for what he did, and my mom for what she didn't do. And I started embarking on this new life. It was like a fight worth fighting, to come to terms with yourself, to heal yourself. But what I didn't realize was there is another level to that. Because once you start healing yourself and feel better, you see other people around you who need help.
That's the key. Remember, I can't help you if I'm sick. I can't see. This is where the scripture comes in, the blind leading the blind. I can't see. So how the hell can I help you see? I'm focused on me. But see, a lot of us that suffer from depression are not focused on anything because we don't want to deal with the past. It hurts too much to go back there and deal with it. So you know what we do? We just walk around aimlessly. Not everyone that suffers from depression. I know I did. I didn't want to hurt. I didn't want to feel. I didn't want to think. So I was on autopilot because every time my mental thought, I had to apply an emotion to it. So by my mental thinking and then my mental passing it on to the emotional portion of my body, it's gonna roll downhill. Now, once my emotional get it, now I have to act it out in the physical, and it hurts. It hurt me so bad that I didn't want to deal with it. So I bottled it up. Exactly, Celie. Surviving, not living. You're not living. You're just walking to and fro on the earth as an empty vessel, taking up space. It's not living, man. That's existing.
We have pain. And fate kind of came to me, and I wrote and produced a movie about human trafficking called Skin Trade. I learned about human trafficking, which is a terrible crime. There's 20 million slaves in the world today. It's a $20 billion industry, second largest in the world. These people are physically humiliated, psychologically abused, they have no self-worth, sort of like how I used to feel. And kind of fate brought me in contact with this, with human trafficking and these victims. When I came back to LA, I called an organization called CAST and asked them if I could help. Coalition to Abolish Slavery and Trafficking. Well, I've been helping them ever since, and it's a great feeling for me to finally give something back. You know, and a lot of this human trafficking isn't just happening in like India and Africa and all over there. As a matter of fact, one of the most interesting cases was a girl who was brought over from a...
So now he just goes into a story about, you know, what's going on. But that's the issue, right? So it's not until you find that issue, because this is what I always say, and I always use this example. Let me ask the village. If you want to chop down a tree, how do you do it? What's the attack? What's the plan? Please answer that, please. If you want to take down a tree, what do you attack? How do you take that tree down? Natalie wrote, use a tool. No, not him yet. So let's read what some of you guys wrote. Okay. Shah wrote, taking it by the root. Nally wrote, use a tool. Summer Breeze wrote, root. Burweezy wrote, depends on how big the tree is. Celie wrote, chop at the trunk. And Beverly wrote, a saw. AG wrote, a little at a time. Burweezy wrote, sometimes you take the branches first. Sometimes you can go straight for the trunk. AG wrote, if possible, from the top down. Attack the soil. Depending on how big it is, on how big it is. Right, okay. Winnie Pooh wrote, use an axe and swing at. Ebony wrote, hire professionals. Anthony wrote, small trees go for the trunk and then the root. Big trees go top down. Okay, none of you guys were wrong. None of you guys are wrong. But a lot of you guys got to the point, right? The root. Now it's going to take time to get to that root. But I like cutting through all the special effects. Root. This is how you kill a tree. Root. If you just chop the tree down and leave the trunk, the tree is still there in existence. It still has roots. So when you go after these problems, remember that butterfly effect. Remember what my man said. You have to go back to the root, like most of you guys said in there. The root. To kill the tree. Yeah, you could take it down piece by piece. So you weren't wrong when you said that. But to kill the tree, you have to attack the root. Where did it come from? Where did it start? What is its origin? That's how you kill it. Kill it. That's how you destroy it. Never for it to grow again. This is what we have to do. Natalie V. Yes, the beginning. When you look at the movie Terminator, what do? They tried to fight. So they was like, man, we're going to send some cats in the past to go get the leader, John. If we kill him, we shut it all down. Summer Breeze wrote, I learned that in counseling, the root. This is how we deal with it, right? So we're going to watch another video of dealing with it from the root.
You write in this book about the importance of getting past your past. Great writing there. It's a great phrase. Getting past your past. And you say that it's so important to forgive those who hurt you. If you're going to get past your past, you've got to deal with some unresolved bitterness. And you gave us this classic illustration from your own life and your relationship with your abusive dad. For people that are watching us today, and
Tia, I don't think, Tia writes, start with the roots. I don't think any answer was wrong. Because, again, some trees are very big. And if you deal with the root, if the tree falls over, it's a metaphorical example, but manifested in a physical sense that a tree is physically big. So when you want to take a tree down, you take pieces and pieces and pieces so that if it does fall, it doesn't fall and break anything, right? Because that's what's going to happen if you attack the root. But metaphorically speaking, we always attack the root. You always attack the beginning. Like Natalie V said, we always go to the beginning. Where did this start? Where did this start? Because this little thing started and multiplied and multiplied and multiplied and multiplied. Because you know what? We froze and hid it and buried it down.
And the millions of people that are listening to you and following your teaching and you're directing the Word of God, when it comes to You Can Begin Again, just how important it is for them, for me, for you, to forgive and to let it go. Because I've watched so many people that just, their lives, I was talking to someone the other day where her ex-husband had been unfaithful to her, and it was 20 years ago, and she's been 20 years past that, but she still looks at me and says, he ruined my life. Mm-hmm. It breaks my heart to hear that someone I really love. How do we motivate people to understand the importance of the healing aspect of forgiveness?
Well, I've kind of learned as people that before we do much of anything, we want to know what the benefit is.
It's true.
Human
nature. Yeah.
Human nature. And so you almost, in order to get people to study, you have to present to them what this is going to do for your life. So if people can understand that as long as they don't forgive, they're poisoning themselves. It's like hating somebody who's hurt you is like taking poison hoping they'll die. It's like me being mad at somebody who hurt me that's out having a good time and don't even care that I'm mad. That doesn't hurt them.
No.
And so maybe this husband's been gone 20 years and he's been having a good time in life and, he's married again and whatever. And he couldn't care less that she's mad and still suffering.
He's moved on, sadly, but
he's moved on. And so it's pointless. It's like, okay, you hurt me, but now if I'm going to hate you, then I'm letting you continue to hurt me.
And have control in my life.
And you're controlling my life, and I'm not going to do that. But, John, I think the other part of this is...
So did you understand the key point of what she was saying? What she's saying is, hey, CJ, how you doing? What she's saying is that the person that did the transgression against you, they've moved on. They didn't know they transgressed against you. And even if they did, you didn't address it. You decided to hold on to it. You decided to keep it in. You decided not to let anyone know. You decided not to say that this is a problem for me. And that person moved on. They moved on with life. On to bigger and better things. You're still carrying it on. And what happens with a lot of people that suffer from depression, mental illness, mental disease, PTSD, not all, but most, they tend to continue living in that time of which they were hurt. They're stuck in that time. They're stuck in that place. How many people have had high school reunions? And that one cat that everyone used to bother, whether it be a man or a woman, everyone's moved on. Doctors, actors, and whatever whatever else they're doing. My mind blew a blank. And that one person that everyone was bullying, he or she is still living in 1994, because that's what anger does to you. It keeps you back there. It keeps you living. You do not move on. You do not progress. Yeah, physically you do, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you're still there. Remember, physically you've moved on, but you don't understand how powerful your mind is. Your mind is very powerful. It keeps you stagnated.
And I think this is very important. I think a lot of people want to forgive, but they don't know how to do it.
Okay.
And so as I've pondered this and studied it and prayed about it, the things that I feel like I've learned from God is this. First of all, to do anything, you need to do it the way God tells you to do it. And so he said several different places in the Bible that you pray for your enemies. So first of all, are you praying for people that have hurt you? Well, what do you...
Now understand where she's coming from now. Understand what she's talking about. Because Christ does tell you pray for your enemies. Christ was being crucified and he still said, forgive them for they know not what they do. Right? There's reasons why Christ do these things. And why he tells you cast your burdens upon him. Give me your burdens. Things that you can't control, give them to me. Things that you can control, things that you can change, you take care of that. But everything else, give them to me. I'll handle it. Because he can take care of the issue way better than we could ever. So when you're forgiving somebody, it's not you forgiving them. It's you forgiving yourself and allowing yourself to let go. Friday, Testimony Friday, I gave my testimony first before anyone gave theirs. And thank you all for showing up and giving your testimony. We went on for 7.5 hours. Thank you so much for that. It was beautiful. It's beautiful. And the testimony that I gave was about after my mom and my dad passed. Well, really, when my mom passed, it started there. And it felt like an anvil being tied to my leg and me being in an endless pool and me being sunk. That when you learn to forgive yourself, when you learn to forgive the situation, you're giving yourself the mental fortitude, the strength. At least it gave me the strength to start to swim back up from being so pulled down. And this is what you do. You're giving yourself the strength. You're giving your spirit the strength. You're giving your mental and emotional side of you the strength to move on, to let it go. You don't forget to let it go.
You pray. I mean, we're like, well, I don't really want them to be blessed. I'm not going to pray for them to be blessed.
God don't bless those people.
But the truth is really, I mean, you can take somebody that's really hurt you and ask God to bless them. And the first thing he's going to bless them with is revelation of what they've done. Because they can't really have a right relationship with him if they don't admit what they've done and come to a place of truth in their life. God desires truth in the inner being, was what King David said after his shenanigans with Bathsheba. Yeah. And he went a whole year without confessing his sin, I guess making all kinds of excuses for it. Then in Psalm 51, the great prayer that he prayed, he said, you desire truth in the inner being. So every person, before they can have a right relationship with God, they have to face the truth. You can't get to where you need to be if you don't face the truth about where you're at in the inner being. So every person, before they...
This is what we need to hear. This part right here, If anything that you take from the streams that I do, if anything that you take from the streams that Tommy do, if anything that you take from the streams that Brian or Just Jay or anyone out there kicking truth, if you take anything from it, take this part.
They can have a right relationship with God. They have to face the truth. You can't get to where you need to be if you don't face the truth about where you're at.
Can't get to where you need to be if you don't face the truth on where you're at. Truth is not an easy pill to swallow, guys. If anyone in the chat knows how hard it is to face truth, type 1, please. Truth is not an easy pill to swallow. That's why when you look in the Matrix, what did he say? He said, the only thing that I can offer you is truth. That's the only thing that I can show you is truth. I can't show you or give you anything else. The only thing I can offer you is that refresh should do it. That refresh should do it, guys. That refresh should do it. Yeah. Because I'm over here, I'm listening to myself. So that refresh should do it. Right? So we need to understand that. See how Satan messes with us? When we're trying to grow, when we're growing and we're getting it together. So when you're going through that pill of swallowing, you need to understand that at this point, you're not by yourself. You're not the only one. But here's the thing. You have to go through that door by yourself, right? Truth is something, that acknowledgement of truth is something that you have to do your own. No one can make you do it. You have to swallow that pill by yourself. But this is what I guarantee you. This is what I promise you. That when you do swallow that pill and you do end up on the other people there that's going to love you and say, we got you. We swallowed that pill too. I guarantee you will not be lonely. I guarantee you that. Let's finish listening.
And so forgiveness, I don't think you can ever walk through. I can decide I'm going to forgive somebody, but I can't walk it out in my life if there's not some things that I realize. First of all, God's not asking me to feel differently about them. He's asking me to pray, to bless and not curse, which if you study that, it means to speak well of instead of evil of. So I need to stop talking about them in an unkind way.
Change your vocabulary.
Change your vocabulary. So when I talk about what my dad did to me, I don't do it to put him down. I do it to help other people. So if I'm talking about it with a good motive, that's...
So you got to understand what she's saying now. Forgiving doesn't mean that I'm going to love you right after. It just means that, hey, I moved on, man. I'm not allowing what happened between you and I, or what happened in that situation, or what happened to me back then to keep me down, to hold me down, to be that weight that's not going to allow me to grow mentally and emotionally. You are not going to keep me locked in. Tonight, I am going to be released of this. We are not going to suffer from this anymore. We are going to forgive ourselves. We are going to forgive those that trespassed against us. That doesn't mean you have to love them. Doesn't mean you have to like them. But you are releasing what was done to move on so that it doesn't breed that hate in you, that anger in you. God doesn't operate in that. God operates in love. So if you want him to inhabit your temple, if you want him to inhabit you, the ground that you try to plant him in has to be fertile ground. And if the ground that you walk on, if the ground that you have, that is you, is filled with hate, anger, disdain, There is no God in you. God can't live in a place like that. The ground isn't fertile. This is not easy to do, but it can be done. So if you want God to inhabit, to live in you, you got a clean house. And it starts with you. Christ tells you in the scriptures, if you can't get your house in order, how you expect to get mine? It starts with you.
It's one thing, but if I'm talking about it just to be talking about it,
And out of your own pain.
and out of my own pain
Yeah.
and out of my own bitterness, then that's another story. Now, that doesn't mean you can't go get counseling if you need it or something like that. But bless your enemies and do not curse them. How many times do we read that and don't even have a clue what it's talking about? So I pray for you. I pray that God will bless you. I pray you'll be saved. I pray that God will open your eyes. You know,
That's what we're supposed to do for our enemies. Those that you don't like. Those that have issues with you. You know what? I'm so happy that the Lord does not have me in that place where you are. And this is an example. You can have someone that's beefing with you all the time, so angry with you all the time. And what God is going to do is God is going to show you, look at how angry this person is. Look at what this anger is doing to this person. This person can't move on with their life. Why? Because they're angry with you. And you've forgiven them. You've moved on. There are no issues in your life. You're going on. You got bigger and better things to conquer. They're stuck there. That's what anger does. That's what hatred does. This is what malice does. It does these things to us. And we're all subject to it. There's no one that's not. This is why you have to stay prayed up. This is why they want us not in connection with our spiritual and mental. They want us not in connection. They don't. Because if we were, they know how we would rock. They know this.
I pray in obedience to God. And I mean, I've even prayed and said, you know, God, I don't really want you to bless them, but you told me to pray for that, so I'm going to.
And God's not uncomfortable with that prayer.
Yeah,
I can
I'm
handle
going to
that.
pray in obedience anyway. And then I make a decision to stop talking about them.
Yeah.
And then I decide what I'm going to do. I pray, I trust. And then even if I still feel like I'm angry,
Yeah.
I don't say, well, I haven't forgiven because I still feel this way. I say, God, I've done my part. Now your part is to change how I feel. And so an example that I can think of, if you want to take this a little bit further, there was somebody that I went to church with one time that hurt me really, really, really bad. I mean, really bad. I won't get into the details, but one night we were in church and the pastor did what pastors love to do. We'll go and hug somebody and tell them you love them. So I turn, the first person I see is her, and I'm thinking, ain't no way no way am I hugging you and telling you I love you.
Yeah.
But I knew in the pit of my gut that that's what God wanted me to do. Okay, well, I didn't want to. I didn't feel like it. But you can still do in obedience to God what he tells you to do.
And what's the key word in what she's saying? Do you guys know? What's the key word in what she's saying? Village, type in the chat. What's the key word that she is saying? There you go, Beverly. Yeah, that's a good word, Natalie, but Beverly hit it. There you go, Anthony. Obedience. Let me read these two scriptures for you guys. 1 Samuel 15:23. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. This is the comparison that God is making. to disobedience. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. That's like worshiping another God. Because thou hast rejected the word of God, the word of the Lord. He hath also rejected thee from being king. And John 14, verse 15. This is Christ. If you love me, keep my commandments. If you love me, keep my commandments. Okay? That's how we show love. We have to stop being disobedient. We have to start understanding that God gave us the answers to heal ourselves. We have to stop trying to do it on our own. It doesn't work. Look at where we're at right now. We're sick mentally, emotionally, depressed, suicidal, broken because we've tried it our way. It does not work. We can't run away from it anymore. We're in high time, man. Wake up, please. Please. We are trying to get better.
Even if you don't want to and you don't feel like it. And those are the things really, I think, that break the enemy's power off of us. When no matter how we feel, we will go and obey God anyway.
Yeah, it is that we don't go by feelings, we go by faith, and we go in obedience. And then when we take that step of obedience, God gives a power and a blessing to us for that act of obedience.
Let me say this. We have to, again, remember, the purpose of this is forgiveness is not about the person you're forgiving. We're using forgiveness because that we have allowed that person power over us. Let me just be frank, other than Bolo right now. The reason why we're forgiving that person that transgressed against us is because they had power over us. We gave them power over us through the transgression that they did. We gave them that power. We are trying to take that power back in representation of them. Follow me. So when you forgive them, you forgive yourself because you are the one that gave them that power to take over you. So by forgiving them, you are forgiving yourself and releasing that anvil that is holding you down. That anvil that is making you angry. That anvil that is making you hate. You are taking that power back. You're taking it back. And you're saying, I'm not giving it to you anymore. This is mine. And I acknowledge, I accept, and I'm going to apply. You will not have that strength over me anymore. I will not live in 1985 anymore.
But you know, a lot of times we learn little nifty phrases like that. We walk by faith and not by sight, but we don't really apply it.
Sure.
You have to apply. Family, I'm not giving you this because you have to apply it. This is how you test your faith. This is how when you hear people speaking to you and they speak with conviction, they speak with strength, they speak with an audacity that cannot be shaken. Why? Because they've lived it. I've seen it work. This ain't something that I'm telling you that I have not seen, that I have not witnessed. I am telling you that I am of this. I am a walking example of it. It can be done. We have no choice but to do it. The Lord's words go not out in vain. Those that have an ear, let them hear. Those that have eyes, let them see. This ain't for everybody. This ain't for everybody. This ain't for everybody. But those of you that it is for, it is high time to wake out of your slumber. Wake the hell up. The warriors of the Lord, it's time to wake the hell up. It's time for us to fix our community. It's time for us to fix ourselves. It's time for us to fix our brothers. It's time for us to fix our sisters. It's time for us to fix our children. It's time.
To a situation like that.
Yeah.
And so I had to literally, in faith, go and do what God told me to, even though I didn't feel like it. And
Yeah.
you know what I've learned that's really good? When you do what's right, when you feel all wrong about it, boy, that's when you're growing spiritually.
That's the stretch.
There you go. He that angers you controls you. He that angers you controls you. Let me give you an example of that. How many people in the chat are familiar with Star Wars? I'll do that for you, Winnie. How many people in the chat are familiar with Star Wars? Let me see y'all say something in that chat. Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and all the corny damn Star Wars movies that they've made so far. But the original three, what did the Emperor always tell Darth Vader? Huh? All you guys are the Star Wars fans like I am. What did he always tell him? To what? Live in his what? Let his what go? Talk to me now. Let his what go? Now I want to see if you guys really watch Star Wars. Since you said it. Huh? There you go, Anthony. Boom. And when he said, let go of your anger, he was telling them to live in it. You're uncontrollable. There is no control. There is none. God is not an author of confusion. He deals with control. He deals specifics meticulously. We are going to deal with every issue individually, compartmentalize. In anger, there is confusion. And most of all, in that anger, Anthony, who had control of Darth Vader? Who had control? Type it in the chat. Who had control? Who had control of Darth Vader? I'm waiting to see you Star Wars buffs. I'm waiting to see you Star Wars buffs. Who had control of Darth Vader? I'll make it a little bit easy for you. The one that said, let go of your anger. Who was that? Who kept telling them to let go of your anger? Who kept saying that to him? There you go. Darth Sidious, the Emperor. Drizzle Game, Anthony. There you go. There you go. So let's go back to that quote. He that angers you controls you. The only difference is you don't have an emperor. You are your own emperor. And you're giving control over to that person fictitiously. Fictitiously, you're giving control to them because they really don't have control. You're giving them control. So because you are upset at the fictitious person, the Lord wants you to forgive that person so that you're able to let go and take back the power, take back the control that you gave that person arbitrarily, and take it back and gain control of it now and operate in love. Because the Lord wants to encamp his spirit in you. He wants to live in you, but he can't live in you if you are in hate, if you are in anger, if you are in malice, if you are hateful. The Lord can't dwell in places like that. He won't. Not that he can't. He won't. The Lord can do whatever he wants. But he tells you, I do not dwell in those places. I'm about love. I deal with love. Christ is love. God is love. The Holy Spirit is love. The gospel is love. That's what he taught. Love. So how the hell are we killing each other? How the well are we calling our women bees? How the hell are we saying our men ain't nothing? I don't need you. It's not love. That is not love. We have to operate in love. And let me say this again because I say it all the time. This is not this is not a fight between black and white. This is not a fight between brown and white. This is a fight between the haves and the have-nots. This is a fight of the rulers of darkness, principalities, and high places. Let me read that scripture for you guys. I'll let her finish as I get it.
Apply it
Sure.
to a situation like that.
Yeah.
And so I had to literally, in faith, go and do what God told me to, even though I didn't feel like it. And
Yeah.
you know what I've learned that's really good? When you do what's right, when you feel all wrong about it, boy, that's when you're growing spiritually.
That's the stretch.
That's the stretch. That's when you're growing spiritually. And you know what?
I'll play
It's
that
been a
over for you,
long
Winnie.
journey, and I didn't learn this overnight. I won't stay mad at somebody now. It's just, I'm not doing that. I don't have time to be angry. I'm not wasting any more of my life being mad at people.
It's so
That's a point right there that I wanted you guys to focus on. Listen to what she just said. And I want you to tell me in the chat, what is the key words in here? Listen to her.
I'm not doing that. I don't have time to be angry. I'm not wasting any more of my life being mad at people.
What is the main key words in that phrase that she said? Let me play it again for you guys and listen to it.
Long journey, and I didn't learn this overnight.
Listen.
I won't stay mad at somebody now. It's just, I'm not doing that. I don't have time to be angry. I'm not wasting any more of my life being mad at people.
What did she say that is so key? There you go, Drizzle. There's one more word that she used in there. There's one more word. Cultural anger. When he put wasting your life away in anger. Yes. What's the other word that I need you guys to focus on that goes along with that? That goes along with that. I'll give you guys a few more minutes. Growing spiritually, yes. But what was the word that she said? It's one word. There you go, Winnie. Time. All of these things mean something. When you're in the spirit, you focus on key words. Key words stick out to you. Key words vibrate and resonate with you. Time and wasting my life. Why? Why did the Lord have her say these words? Because this is what anger, this is what mental disease, this is what mental illness, depression, PTSD do. Let me give you guys the definition of PTSD. This is no joke. The Lord God is working today. Lord God is moving today. Y'all ready for the definition tonight for PTSD? Now remember what she said, time and wasting my life, right? Y'all ready for the definition? Because all of these things affect us in time, and we waste time and in our life. Right? Listen to the definition. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is a mental health condition that is triggered by a terrifying event. So something happened. An event. Either experiencing it or witnessing it. Now, when I first started to go into this, it made me cry. Because how many times do our young children see someone get shot, someone raped, someone hurt, someone beat up, someone selling drugs, someone getting jumped? How many times in our lives have we seen that? And our children are seeing it. They don't have to go through it. They can witness it. We got cats that go over into Saigon. During the Vietnam War. Now we have cats going overseas to Iraq. And thank you all for your service. For our military men and women. That see something and they suffer PTSD. We see it every day in our communities here in America. And we're not getting the help. We walk around as if it is okay when it's not. You mothers and fathers better start dealing with your children, man. They are walking around with a lot in their heart. Let me finish. Either experiencing it or witnessing it. Symptoms may include flashbacks, nightmares, and severe anxiety, as well as uncontrollable thoughts about the event. Let me read this. The condition may last months or years, with triggers that can bring back memories of the trauma, accompanied by intense emotional and physical reactions. Symptoms may include nightmares or unwanted memories of the trauma, avoidance of situations that bring back memories of the trauma, heightened reaction, that's that fight or flight, anxiety, or depressed mood. Treatment includes different types of trauma focused. How many of us live through that, man? How many of us are going through that? We cannot waste time and waste our life because that's what you're doing. We let so many things pass by. So many opportunities pass by. So many people we could have loved pass by. So many people we could have hugged, passed by. So many people that could have influenced us, showed us things, passed by. So many people that we could have influenced. So many people that you could have touched. It's time to take our time back and our lives back. In the name of Jesus Christ, it is time to take our lives back. It is time to stop walking around broken. It is time that we heal ourselves in the name of Jesus, man. And he gives us the strength to do that. Let's stop ignoring these problems that we have and start confronting them with faith and knowing that the Lord will help us get through, and knowing that we here in the village will help you get through it. Let me go back on with her.
I won't stay mad at somebody now. It's just, I'm not doing that. I don't have time to be angry. I'm not wasting any more of my life being mad at people.
It's so unproductive.
That doesn't mean that I don't get hurt. It doesn't
Sure.
mean that it's easy. But, you know, the Bible says to bless those who curse you. And one of the things that's great to do, I tell pastors all the time, if you have some young man that you've mentored and loved and he splits your church and takes 100 of your people down the street and starts his own church,
Yeah.
don't hate him, buy him a sound system.
Take up an offering for
Yeah,
it.
go.
Right? So I'm going to show you 2 more videos, man. 2 more short ones about what we need to do, about what we're trying to accomplish here. What we're trying to accomplish here in the village, we're trying to heal ourselves. We're trying to acknowledge the issues that we have through confronting that mirror. What we are doing, not trying, what we are doing. I tell you guys that the brain, the mind, is a very powerful muscle in ways we have not imagined, in ways we do not understand. It is time for us to understand those ways, because when you understand how powerful your mental is, then you will know how to combat these forces that are coming at you in righteousness. You have to know how to heal yourself. You have to understand the spirit, man. You got to. You got to understand the mind, the mental. The mental rules the emotion. It rules that. We've been walking around too far and too long emotional. It's time that we start to pull truth, start to live in truth, start to operate in truth, start to breathe truth, start to walk in truth, start to feel in truth, start to love in truth, start to fight in truth. It's time.
Without a body and on presumptions, I was convicted of drowning a poacher and sentenced to
If no one understood what he was saying, because his accent is crazy, he said without a body, and I believe he said without proof, without presumptions, he was convicted of murder. So this man, according to him, was convicted of murder and he was innocent. Listen.
spend 15 years in Zimbabwe's prisons.
And he was 15 years in Zimbabwe's prisons. Now, if you think America's prisons are bad, their prisons, like when you go to these places like Bangladesh or Mexico, it's like you ever see dogs in a cage? That's how their prisons are like.
Which 5 was suspended. I was convicted of a crime that never happened. Arriving at my first maximum security prison, still in handcuffs and leg irons like a dangerous animal, they had me stripped naked, stark naked, I was escorted through huge wooden doors into the maximum security exercise yard.
So he was stripped naked and walked through this prison naked. Naked. This is how Satan breaks you down. He starts from your inner core and breaks you down.
Thousands of curious prison eyes followed me, wondering what this white man was doing here, since I was the only one. Take what you fear most, then multiply it by 10, and maybe you'll understand the paralyzing fear I felt.
Take what you fear most and multiply it by 10, and maybe you will feel the paralyzing fear he had. Maybe you'll fear it. You're the only white man in a prison of all blacks. So for those of you that are black, you're the only black dude in the prison filled with Aryan Nation guys, butt naked, walking in the prison. Meditate on that.
As I walked through that courtyard naked, I shared a cell with 78 other inmates.
He was in a cell with 78 people, because I don't know if it's loud enough that you guys can hear him. Can you guys hear him? Is the sound loud enough? Can you hear him, guys? Okay. So he's in a prison cell with 78 other dudes, man. 78. See, here in America, you in a prison cell with one, or they may have you in the gym, but he's in a prison cell with 78 other guys. All right, she says, but your ears are squinting. All right, I'll see if I can put it up.
13 meters long, 3 meters wide. Each person had...
The cells were 13 meters long and 3 meters wide. Let me put that into feet to give us a better understanding of what that is, right? Let me see. 13 meters. $13 meters in feet is 42 feet. And then he said 3 meters long. So the 13 by 9 cell, 13 feet long, 9 feet wide. Okay? 13 feet long, 9 feet wide. 75 people in that. Oh my God. So just picture that. That picture, that's the picture that of the cell on the screen.
Face marked out on the walls in chalk. We all faced the same direction. When you turned over, it was all together. As cushioning against the cold concrete floor, you'd fold 2 of your paper-thin, worn-out, lice-ridden blankets several times to fit your space, then covered yourself with a third one. Can you imagine the discomfort? Not even the breath you take is your own. No space, and packed so close together that what someone else exhales, you inhale. Can anything be further removed from freedom than that? We had no basins or taps in the cells, and only one set of clothing. So we had to wash our clothes in the cell toilets at night, wearing a blanket, then hang them on the walls with smuggled book staples to dry by the next morning. In 2005, Harare City ran out of water. For 3 years, while in Shikaribi Maximum Security Prison, each prisoner was allocated only 1 plastic cup of water a day. That was to drink, clean your teeth, wash your face, bath, everything, for 3 years. But all that being said, I believe that beyond every severity, clean your teeth, wash your face.
That's madness. 1 glass of water.
While in Shikaribi Maximum Security Prison, each prisoner was allocated only 1 plastic cup of water a day. That was to drink, clean your teeth, wash your face, bath, everything, for 3 years. But all that being said, I believe that behind every severity lies an opportunity. That experience gave me the opportunity to get to know hidden attributes about myself and time to consider some really important things in life.
Here's the key words again: time. See, in life, we're so rampant with running around and not taking time to get to know to get to know ourselves, to get to know what we're capable of, to get to know our inner being, to get to know our mental. We have so much going on in life that we don't take the time to get to know who we are, who I am. Who is that guy in the mirror? Who is that woman in the mirror? Unfortunately, this man learned who he was, being convicted of a crime in a Zimbabwe a jail cell, 13 feet by 9, in a cell with 75 other people, for 3 years having one plastic cup of water to wash your face, brush your teeth, and to drink, to figure out, man, I got to know who I am. He had the time. We need to figure out who we are and how we can apply this truth to ourselves, to heal ourselves, and to grow.
That experience gave me the opportunity to get to know hidden attributes about myself and time to consider some really important things in life. My life in chains taught me many lessons, and that's what I'd like to share with you now. My first lesson was about forgiveness. The humiliation of being labeled a murderer in terrible conditions were extremely hard to deal with. As was the pain of my bitterness, anger, hatred, frustration, and revenge.
All those things that we talked about earlier, right? Bitterness, anger, revenge, hate, all those things that we spoke about, all those key words that we all feel.
As was the pain of my bitterness, anger, hatred, frustration, and revenge for what they'd done and were doing to me. I hated them bitterly, and initially would lie there for hours, wishing every terrible thing on each of them in turn: the poacher, the police, the judge, the ministry, and all who were involved in my conviction. In the end, I was only hurting myself.
You heard that? Through all of that stuff, through all of that turmoil, through all of that time physically, that anger, hate, bitterness, revenge, he says, I was only hurting myself. This is what not forgiving does. This is not what acknowledging the issues. When you do not acknowledge the issues that you have, you're hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself. We have to let it go. Let it go so that we're able to grow. We're able to move on and be happy and love.
And all who were involved in my conviction. In the end, I was only hurting myself. I was carrying all that in my head and beating myself up for nothing. The single biggest lesson I learned in prison was true forgiveness. I now know what Nelson Mandela meant by forgiveness. Another big lesson I learned was the power of a positive mental attitude. I learned not to let past thoughts hurt me.
Past thoughts hurting you. Do you understand how strong your mind is? That even though they can lock you up, they can't lock up your mind. That you could be anywhere in the universe, anywhere on the earth. They can only lock up your flesh. They can't lock your mind. So if we gain control of our mind and our emotions, there's nothing that we can't do. Satan knows this. This is why he tries to keep us disconnected and only operate in emotion and confusion. See, the mental is the thing that delineates and figures out logic and truth and understanding of the Lord and understanding of what's right and what's wrong. When you operate in emotion, like when you hear people say, I feel like, that's how they start their sentences off. I feel like. You feeling has nothing to do with the damn truth. I feel like what he did was wrong. I don't care what you feel. This is how we have to stop talking. I hear men talk like that and women. I expect women to talk like that, but when I hear men talk like that, it really irks me. I feel like, what the hell you mean by I feel like? The dude was wrong. There's right and wrong. It's not hard. Let's not make this hard. We have to stop saying, I feel like, and start saying, the truth of the matter is. That's how we need to start sentences off. The truth of the matter is, she was right. He was wrong. The truth has to abound. That's what we have to live in. Truth.
I learned not to let past thoughts hurt me. The past only exists in your head. It can only come to life if you let it.
The past only lives in your head. It only comes to life if you let it. We have to stop reliving the past by letting it go. The only way you can let it go is by forgiving and moving on. Right? Remember, acknowledgement, acceptance, and apply. Stop rehashing the past. It happened already. It can't change. Stop giving that memory so much power that it stagnates your mental, your spiritual growth. Stop. We have to take those things back and start operating under truth. Start operating under knowledge. Start operating under logistics.
To be able to find positives in all the negatives going on around me brought hope.
Living with the cup half full. See, all the issues that we have here in America, I guarantee you none of your issues were as bad as his physically. That's right, assurance, Natalie. Physically, I've never been in a situation like that. Accused of murder, found guilty of murder in Zimbabwe. Being the only color you against everyone else. 75 people in a 13-by-9 cell. Having to drink water, brush your teeth, and wash your face with one plastic cup of water. You know that plastic cup was damn small. You know it was small. For 3 years. And come out of that, I'm not hating anyone. Hey, Celie, what you mean by AAA? Oh, triple agreed, I think. And coming out of that situation and saying, I don't hate nobody. That is hard, man. That is so hard. But it's not impossible. Nothing is impossible in Christ Jesus, man.
To be able to find positives in all the negatives going on around me brought hope. Finding happiness in even the smallest things that happen in prison kept me healthy. Those who couldn't died. Life in prison or in...
Listen to what he said again. When he was in prison, his mind kept him alive, kept his physical alive. Remember, your physical is the vehicle that your mind and your mental uses to navigate through this 3D world. Does that make sense to everybody? If that makes sense to you, press 1, please. If it makes sense. So this is how strong our mind is. That we physically do not have to live where we mentally do not have to live where we are physically. Let me say that again, that we do not have to live mentally where we are physically. This is how strong, this is the strength, this is the gift that the Lord gave us. But the enemy does not want us to use that gift. He wants us to stay in that emotion where we can't reach the peak of our understanding, our strength, to know that we are loved, to know that we need to love, and to know that we are social creatures. We need to be around each other. This is what they do.
Those who couldn't died. Life in prison.
And those that don't understand what's going on die and will die. This is about life and death, guys. The ultimate life and death.
Prison kept me healthy. Those who couldn't died. Life in prison or in Las Vegas is still just life. It's what you make of it, no matter where you are. When there's no food, no water, and people are dying all around you, you become grateful for the fact that you're still breathing. And another day is a blessing. When you're lying in a cell with
This is what we do every day. Man, listen. That brother or that sister, that father, that mother or aunt or cousin that you have beef with, you better recognize, man, that life is short. It is. And we take for granted every day. Every breath we take it for granted. You better realize and understand and embrace love. Stop being angry. Start being that change that you want to see. Leave this place better than you received it. Stop being bitter. Because all you're hurting is yourself and everyone around you. That's all you're hurting. You're living a sad life because you're a sad person. How do you change that? By changing your vibration, changing your frequency. By dealing with the issue, not running away from it. Dealing with the issue, not getting someone put in jail or someone getting upset or running away from your issue. By dealing with the issue truthfully. In truth, not in emotion. In truth.
78 other people, and your breath is not even your own, gratitude suddenly has a different meaning altogether. There were times in there when I just felt this was the end. I didn't have the mental strength left to overcome more of those never-ending challenges. But from the bowels of despair comes this realization that just as my mind had helped drag me through those depths that far, so could it pull me out of it.
So, like he said, if your mind can put you in a stagnant place, your mind can get you out of that stagnant place. That's what we need to start doing. We need to start using our minds. Your brain is not going to melt if you use it, guys. When I say guys, I mean gals also. Your brain is not going to melt. We need to start using it. We need to start using it to help ourselves and then help the people around us.
Each and every one of us, when we dig deep enough, can find this inner strength to get through life's toughest times and deepest holes. Every one of you here today is faced with challenges, day in and day out. Who you are and the depth of your determination is what's going to elevate you to become someone that people will look up to and forever remember.
I couldn't have said it any better. Your mind. So far, what do you guys, give me some key words that you guys are getting from this. How can we get through our mental depression, mental illness, PTSD? Where do we have to go? What do we need to access? What part of ourselves do we need to access? I want to see if you guys are listening. What part of ourselves do we need to access to combat this fight? Joy wrote, our joy in Christ. Yes. What else? Winnie Pooh, exactly, the mind. Coach Joe, begin grateful for the small things helps. Yes, it does. But Winnie Pooh hit the nail right on the head. The mind. Because the mind is what puts you there. The physical experience that you had, right? Let's do it backwards. The physical experience that you had, your emotion broke it down. This is bad. Then your mind deciphered it and said, this is a problem. This is a problem. So it put us in that jail cell. But see, in life, we are so detached from our mental, we don't access that all the time. We access more the emotion. So we live in the emotion. At times, randomly, we'll go to the mental. So the mental will keep us in that jail cell, and then we'll live in the emotion as we're physically living it out. We have to access our mental more often to get us out of that funk, that mental funk. Because everything is interpretation of how things happen to you in this physical plane. Right? I'll give you an example. One person finds $1 and is like, yo, man, damn, that's a blessing. I found $1. One person finds it and says, man, come on, man. I could have found $10. A damn dollar. So we all live in this physical plane, but it's how our mental, right, delineates and breaks it down. If you live in that love and you stay in the mind frame of that cup half full, you'll live every moment in life in bliss, every moment in life grateful. I guarantee you that, guys. I'm a living example of it. I am a living example of it. You will look at life so differently. Doesn't mean that you're not going to be unhappy at times, but I guarantee you, you'll see a better way of living. This is the last video, and I really want you guys to listen to this man. Okay, please.
Forgiveness. You see, we as human beings are taught that in order to forgive, a person must first ask for forgiveness. They must apologize. It is only
Goddamn devil.
once a person apologizes that we. You see, we as human beings are taught that in order to forgive, a person must first ask for forgiveness. They must apologize. It is only once a person apologizes that we decide whether or not to forgive them. They did something wrong. They have to resolve the situation. And until then, we're just going to stay back, ignore them, and be angry. This couldn't be further from the truth.
Listen to him.
In order to forgive someone, that person doesn't even have to know that we are forgiving them.
Boom.
Forgiveness is for us. Not until then, we're just going to stay back, ignore them, and be angry.
Listen to him.
This couldn't be further from the truth. In order to forgive someone, that person doesn't even have to know that we are forgiving them. Forgiveness is for us, not for them. We forgive ourselves to rid ourselves of that weight, that anger that we hold on to.
We forgive ourselves. We forgive ourselves by forgiving them to rid us of that weight. How many people out there feel that weight? In the chat, do you guys feel that weight on your foot, on your feet, on your back? If you do, let me know. You feel that weight? Josh says, yep. I know it can't only be Shy that feels the weight. There's 14 people in here. I know some of you guys feel that weight. We have to be able to let that weight go. Beverly says yes. So by forgiving them, you forgive yourself. And by forgiving yourself, you're taking that power back. And by taking that power back, you are lightening the weight of your issue. You are lightening the weight that is holding you down. That's what you are doing. My man, Coach, I have about 250 pounds on me. We working on that, right? We working on that. We are working on that. We're working on that to get that to about $150. Takes time. It's not something that happens overnight. It's not something that happens overnight. But listen to what he's saying, man, because I made this video last because this resonated so much and we need to hear this. Please listen.
In order to forgive someone, that person doesn't even have to know that we are forgiving them. Forgiveness is for us, not for them. We forgive ourselves to rid ourselves of that weight, that anger that we hold on to. We forgive because that person doesn't know any better. So I went out and I would forgive and forgive everyone and everything. I forgave that man for what he did to my mother. I forgave him for having one moment of weakness. I forgave friends and family for not really understanding what I was going through. I had my own personal demons that I had to figure out, and I had to be alone in order to do that.
Everyone had to be alone. You see the common denominator in all this? Everyone had to be alone. You can't run from yourself. You have to embrace yourself, love yourself. Because, you know, a lot of times we surround ourselves with people because we are ashamed of who we are. You've done what you've done. Can't change it, but you can't forgive yourself for it. Lighten that load. Learn from what you've done in the past. Accept the truth of who you are. And let's learn how to either fix it, make you a better person. Those are the first steps to accepting it. Acknowledging it, accepting it, then applying it. It makes you a better person, makes you a better man, makes you a better woman. Because you are the first cog in the wheel of fixing things. It starts with you. Because when you fix you, you know what it took to fix you. Now, when you go to fix someone else or you go to help someone else, you know what to look for. You're not blinded by the fake masks that people wear. You know why? Because you used to wear that mask. So you know what to look for.
I started to feel whole again. Even after forgiving everyone and everything, something still wasn't right. I found myself home alone one night. Nobody was home to hear me cry. I laid down in my bed and I stared up at my ceiling, full of tears, and I dialed the suicide hotline. Now, it was in that moment something overcame me. I can't tell you what it is. I don't know if it's because I was on my last second of wanting to live, but something overcame me and my life changed. There was still one last person I had left to forgive.
And guess whose that is?
Myself.
Boom.
You see, we don't always make the right decisions. We don't walk through life making the right choices, and we're not going to go through life without hurting somebody's feelings. And that's okay. Self-forgiveness takes time. It takes courage. We must forgive everyone and everything and understand that by doing that, we are letting go of the weight, that anger that we hold on to, and then forgive ourselves for holding on to that weight in the first place.
Boom. You are forgiving yourself because, damn, I gave that person the power over me. So by you forgiving yourself, you're letting go of that weight. You're taking control back. That's all that is. You're taking control back. Because you have to remember, the past exists because you lived through it. Right? So life is meant to be lived forward but understood backward. So it's not until you've gone through something you can actually decipher it. We have to learn to forgive ourselves first. A lot of us can't forgive ourselves because we don't know how to forgive. A lot of us walk around here emotional because we look in the mirror and don't like what we see and don't want to unpack that baggage. It's too much. It hurts too much. So we're going to continue being a part of the problem. We have to stop.
Now, throughout my talk tonight, I'm sure that some of you have had a person or a situation come to mind where you should have put forgiveness first. I want you to take that home with you tonight. Please, I beg you, whether you're here with me or you're at home watching this, I want you to take that home with me or with you. I want you to forgive that person.
Forgive you. Forgive that person. Forgive yourself for giving that person the power over you. Forgive that person.
After that, I want you to take it one step further, and I want you to forgive yourself. It's going to take time, and it's going to take courage. To all you that will do this, I want to congratulate you in advance. Your best and brightest days are just ahead. Thank you.
Couldn't have ended any better. Couldn't have ended any better. Right? I'd like to thank you guys, all of you, for showing up tonight, because you could have been anywhere, but you chose to be here with me. Thank you. I appreciate it. You don't know how much I appreciate it. I thank you for everything that you allow me to do. I thank you for allowing me to be in your life. I thank you for allowing me into your homes. Thank you so much. You don't know how much that means to me, that you trust me enough with some of you guys that have reached out, that you don't understand this helps me maybe more than it helps you. That as I am talking to you guys, I am searching my mind's eye to understand daily my issues of my depression. And thank you, bro. I love you too, Drizzle. You know what I'm saying? And don't get it twisted. I'm man enough to say I love you to another man. That's my brother. And understand that this life isn't easy. It isn't easy. And it's a lot harder when you're by yourself. Because mentally, you can lock everyone out. And physically, be right next to somebody and not be there. Winnie Pooh writes, time heals all wounds. In certain situations, it does. Because remember, time in your mind is relative. Not always do time heal all wounds, because you can carry a wound for the rest of your life and it not be healed. You have to heal it. You have to heal it. Now, time, it takes time for you to get better at healing, but you have to make a mental, cognitive choice. Conscious and subconscious choice to say, today I am going to heal. Today I am going to forgive myself. Today I'm going to forgive he or she, or forgive that situation and take my power back. You have to make that choice to do that. Thank you. So, now, I got to read off all this information that I usually read off to you guys for those that are going through something, mentally. So please be the change, man. Be the change that you want to see happen. Be the change that you want to see in this world. Be it. My man Tommy gives an example that if you live on a block and you manicure your grass, you continue to manicure your grass. One of these days, a neighbor's going to walk up to you and be like, yeah, how do you do this? Or who do you pay to do this? Now, if it's not yourself and you pay somebody, you give that person the information, then they're going to manicure their grass. It takes one person to jumpstart this. One. And that person did it already. That was Christ. All we have to do is pick up and follow in his footsteps. And it starts with that person in the mirror. That person that you see in the mirror. That's who it starts with. Right? So, that being said, I'd like to say up a prayer for us. Lord God, I ask you, I beg you, I beseech thee to please forgive us of our sins. Please grant us knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Please give us the truth. Please give us a chance to see the truth. I ask you, Lord, to please give us the strength to look that person in the mirror and to say, I'm sorry. I forgive you. I forgive me. Please give us the strength to love each other, to respect one another, to honor one another. Please give us the strength to protect one another, to provide for one another. Please, Lord God, I ask you, Lord, for those that are suffering, please let them find help, find someone the truth to, or be ministered to them to hear the truth, to know that this world will not be better without them, that we need them. We need you. That you do not want someone dead, that you value life, that you want a living, breathing vessel to worship you. Please have the village, please, in all of our communities, see that person in the street and become the change that we want to see in this world. Please keep us strong and keep us safe during this COVID thing. Please give us the strength and not fear. Give us faith in doubt. Show us light in darkness. Thank you for the people in the village. Thank you, Lord God. Thank you, Lord God. Give us the strength to stand strong. Please encamp your angels around us. Please encamp your angels around those first responders, those essential workers. Please give them travel mercy. Please heal those that are sick. Help them to get better. Please have them open their eyes and see the truth for what it is, not for what they want it to be. For what the truth is, not for what they want it to be. In Jesus' name, amen. The National Suicide, let me raise this up. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-800-273-8255. Again, 800-273-8255. The National, hold on, I'll turn this down a little bit. The National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, NAMI.org is their website. Their phone number is 800-950-6264. Or if you're in a crisis, you can text them, NAMI, NAMI, to 741-741. NAMI 2741741. Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America.org for those youngsters that need mentorship. Tuesday's Children, they work specifically with military families. Tuesday's Children. The Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. Their national helpline is 800-662-4357. 800-662-4357. It's free and confidential, 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Treatment, referral, and information services in English and Spanish for individuals and families, mental and or substance use disorders. National Parent Helpline, 855-427-2736. 855-427-2736. National Drug Helpline, 844-289-0879. 844-289-0879. The website is drughelpline.org. Drughelpline.org. They're open 24/7 for drug and alcohol help. National Association for Children of Alcoholics, 888-554-2627. 888-554-2627. National Domestic Violence Helpline for men and women, 800-799-7233. 800-799-7233. Their website is thehotline.org. Thehotline.org. National Child Abuse Hotline, 800-422-4453. 800-422-4453. Their website is childhelp.org. Childhelp.org is dedicated to the prevention of child abuse, serving the U.S. and Canada. The hotline is staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with professional crisis counselors who, through interpreters, provide assistance in over 170 languages. The hotline offers crisis intervention information and referrals to thousands of emergency and social services and support resources. All calls are confidential. If you're having an issue and you can't call, you can also text 800-422-4453. 800-422-4453. Guys, love each other. Love yourselves first and love each other. We are all we got. Love each other, man, please. Be the change. It takes a village. Love each other. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. God bless you and good night.
How could you do this to me? Christ is on his way. All he said it for me. Turn up the nations for ain't gonna take this no more. Israel, you better enjoy. Come out and the sense confused. Turn up the nations for ain't gonna take this no more. Ain't gonna take this no more. Ain't gonna take this no more. Ain't gonna take this no more.
See you guys at Testimony Fridays, man. See you guys at Testimony Fridays.